Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlyn Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlyn Clark is out.
A professional sports league has lost over half its audience in a matter of weeks. This isn't a hypothetical scenario, it's the reality unfolding in the WNBA right now. Since their star rookie, Caitlyn Clark, was forced to the sidelines with an injury, the league's viewership has completely imploded, dropping by a staggering 55%. This isn't just a dip in ratings, it's a full-blown crisis that exposes a terrifying dependency on a single player. And the story of how the league allowed its golden goose to get broken is a shocking tale of jealousy, incompetence, and corporate self-destruction.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlyn Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
Let's break down just how catastrophic that 55% drop really is. The data paints a brutal picture of a league on life support. Games featuring Clark were averaging a staggering 1.8 million viewers, a figure that shattered every previous record and brought mainstream attention the league had only dreamed of. Without her on the court, that number has cratered to just 847,000. This isn't just an Indiana fever problem, this is a league-wide catastrophe. The entire WNBA, from the New York Liberty to the Las Vegas Aces, is suffering from the fallout, proving a terrifying truth. The WNBA doesn't have a Caitlyn Clark problem. It has a Caitlyn Clark dependency, and right now, their only source of relevance is sitting on the bench in street clothes. But to understand the true depth of this disaster, you have to remember the miracle that came just before it.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlyn was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
Just a few months ago, Caitlyn Clark was more than a basketball player. She was a cultural tidal wave. Her arrival in the WNBA was heralded as a new dawn for women's sports. Arenas that typically saw sparse crowds were suddenly selling out. Road games were moved to larger NBA stadiums just to accommodate the unprecedented demand. Merchandise flew off the shelves, and for the first time, major sports networks were leading their broadcasts with WNBA news. Clark was the golden goose, single-handedly generating more revenue and interest than the rest of the league combined.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation, but the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlyn need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlyn is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
But in the world of professional sports, a rising star casts a very long shadow, and it soon became clear that not everyone was happy to stand in it. Instead of being welcomed as the savior of the league, she was treated like an invader. The welcome mat was pulled out from under her and replaced with a target on her back. A disturbing pattern of aggressive, cheap shots began to emerge. It culminated in a series of flagrant fouls, with the Chicago Sky being responsible for a shocking 80% of them. This wasn't just welcome to the league physicality, it felt personal, pointed, and dangerous.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlyn Clark.
The league is Caitlyn Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th, national TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
The WNBA.
As their star player was being treated like a human punching bag, the world turned to the league office for a response. What they got was a masterclass in failure. The official statements were weak, dismissive, and utterly tone-deaf. They spoke of competitive fire and physicality, refusing to acknowledge the clear pattern of targeting that every casual viewer could see. It was like watching someone touch a hot stove, get badly burned, and then immediately reach for it again, claiming they were just testing the heat. The inaction was baffling, and it created a stark and embarrassing contrast with other professional leagues.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlyn Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlyn Clark and how they have treated her.
Can you imagine the NBA allowing a team to repeatedly take cheap shots at LeBron James or Steph Curry? The offending player would be suspended, the team fined, and a clear message would be sent across the league: protect the assets that keep the lights on. But the WNBA did nothing, allowing the narrative to spin out of control. Veteran sports writer Christine Brennan, a powerful voice in the industry, summed it up perfectly when she said, "The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment." While the league spouted empty platitudes, the real damage was being tallied not on the scoreboard, but on corporate balance sheets.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlyn Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
The financial bloodbath caused by Clark's absence has been swift and merciless. That 55% viewership drop was just the first wave of a tsunami of red ink. The secondary ticket market, once a booming testament to her popularity, has been decimated. Tickets for Indiana Fever games, which were commanding an average of nearly $1,400 during the height of the frenzy, plummeted to as low as $80 overnight. The highly anticipated rematch between the Fever and the Chicago Sky, a game that previously drew over 2.25 million viewers, saw ticket prices collapse from $210 to just $95. The empty seats are a visual representation of a much deeper problem.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA has successfully broken Caitlyn Clark.
Corporate sponsors like State Farm and Gainbridge, who poured millions of dollars into the league banking on the Clark effect, are now watching their investment evaporate. They signed up to be associated with a cultural phenomenon, not a league that can't even fill a quarter of an arena without its star player. The WNBA was already projected to lose an eye-watering $50 million this year, even with Clark's historic revenue generation. Without her, that number is set to spiral into a financial black hole from which the league may never recover. But the money was only part of the story. The league's inaction was about to backfire in a way that would hurt the very players they claimed to represent.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour, or whatever the circuit is that they play on, than Caitlyn Clark is to the WNBA.
In a twist of cruel irony, the on-court aggression toward Caitlyn Clark is directly sabotaging the financial future of every single player in the WNBA. The league is heading into crucial negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. This is the contract that determines player salaries, benefits, and working conditions for years to come. The player's biggest leverage in these negotiations is the league's success, specifically its television ratings and revenue. By allowing their biggest draw to be injured, the league and the players who targeted her have handed all the power back to the owners.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlyn Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlyn Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlyn Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through?
When it's time to negotiate, the owners can now point to the 55% viewership collapse and say, how can we give you a bigger piece of the pie when the pie shrinks to half its size the moment one player gets hurt? Every cheap shot at Caitlyn Clark wasn't just a foul, it was a direct blow to the wallets of every player on every team. They were so consumed by what they perceived as a threat to their spotlight that they failed to see they were burning down the entire stage. And the players in the league weren't the only ones taking notice. The fans, the lifeblood of any sport, were starting a rebellion of their own.
I admire about Caitlyn, she's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players, you don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The empty seats and cratering ratings aren't just a sign of indifference, they're a sign of protest. A significant portion of Clark's new fan base is actively boycotting the WNBA. They are disgusted with what they see as a league that has lost all integrity. They tuned in to watch a generational talent play basketball, and instead they witnessed what looked like a coordinated effort to injure her, met with a shrug from the people in charge.
Clean up. I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on. She getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
This has morphed from a player issue into a fundamental crisis of credibility. When your own supporters publicly state they won't watch games because they don't believe the competition is fair or that player safety is a priority, you have a problem that goes far beyond one player's injury report. The league has poisoned its own product. Fans feel betrayed, and a betrayed fan doesn't just change the channel, they become a vocal critic, warning others to stay away. This has left the WNBA at a terrifying crossroads, staring into a future they single-handedly created.
Every day because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlyn Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or 2. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make
The WNBA is now trapped in a nightmare of its own making. It was handed a once-in-a-generation opportunity on a silver platter, a star with the talent and charisma to elevate the entire sport to new heights. They had one job: protect the asset. They failed. Instead, they allowed petty jealousies and a shocking lack of foresight to create a toxic environment that led directly to the injury of their only mainstream draw. The result is a league in shambles, its finances in tatters, its credibility shot, and its future hanging by a thread. The whole fiasco serves as a sobering reminder of what the WNBA was before Caitlyn Clark arrived, and a terrifying preview of what it will become again if they don't change course. The question now is a simple one. Though the answer will determine the fate of the entire league, will the WNBA finally learn from this near-fatal mistake and begin to act like a serious professional organization, or will they continue to squander the greatest gift they've ever been given, destined to fade back into the obscurity they so recently and so briefly escaped?